Say it one more time, though.
To remain a fleeting illusion to be pursued but never attained. It was in War, Bob Marley.
I know, but it's deep. I like it.
I love that line.
I like it.
That's one of my favorite lines in the songs anyway.
He smoked a lot of weed. So
yeah.
But he was deep,
But yeah, that's what, the creative career is about. You keep trying and you keep trying. And, people think of masterpieces. Mm-hmm. Most artists don't even believe they've ever made one, even if other people have. Because when you're creating, you're always looking at it and how could you make this better? Mm-hmm. How could you make this better? How can you make the next one better than the one you just did? Mm-hmm. Because you really don't want to get caught up on the last painting. You want to get caught up on the next piece. The next endeavor, the next business idea, the next program, whatever the next thing is, you're on to that.
All right, so W, you've been making money, man. You're doing this full time now. How did you get to that point? Where you
doing art full time?
How did you get to that point?
Well, I first started working after college, I went to work at the Fayetteville Observer designing those car ads. You've probably seen them, the no money down car ads, big starbursts and all that. I did that for a while, and I realized, and I tell people this, there was a moment where a guy worked there for 42 years and they gave him a watch. They had a big celebration at work. They're like, here you go, a watch, and after 42 years. And I'm like, you're not the editor, you're not the chief, you're not the 42 years?
Was it an Invicta watch?
No, it wasn't an Invicta watch, which is a lovely brand. It's a lovely brand of watches if you ever have a chance to get up on their website. But yeah, and I was like, I don't want to be in any position where I can't be number one.
Right.
I mean, I want to be number one, but I still want the opportunity to if I did want that.
Right.
So that got me out of there. And then I came to Atlanta. This is back when the internet was really like a new thing for all the young folks. The internet was actually new to some people.
The World Wide Web.
They were like, whoa, I need a web designer.
Yeah.
And web designers were the kings of the game. Around 99, 2000, web designers were rock stars.
Oh yeah.
So I'm 24, working at my desk at the newspaper, getting calls like, hey, we want to take you into Chicago for a meeting. See if you want to take this job we're offering you. They would pick me up in a limo at the airport, and I'm like, yo, I'm in a limo.
What are you talking about?
And then I'm like, I know what I want to do. I want to go to McDonald's in a limo. So I made him pull up to the McDonald's. I jumped out.
Did you do that?
Yeah, I was ignorant, man. I was ignorant as hell, man. I only did that once. But I did the job interview. I didn't take the job. And then I was interviewing in Atlanta. And I took the job in Atlanta, and that's when I became, my first technical job in like the advertising design world was art director.
Yeah.
I went from...
How the hell did you do that?
Web designers were rock stars.
I remember that back in the day.
I designed one website, and it was my own.
Wow. Yeah.
And I got a job as an art director. They flew me and moved me to Atlanta.
That wasn't the Killustration website.
That was Killustration, that website. And they moved me, and next thing you know, I'm in meetings with Coca-Cola, and...
Now that's crazy right there.
Yeah.
I remember you talking about the Coca-Cola joke.
Yeah, it was crazy. So I was like, yo, this is awesome. And meanwhile, I was doing that. I was also freelancing, doing illustration gigs for like Echo and magazines.
Yep.
And then
The practice.
Huh?
The practice. I had to.
Oh yeah, the practice too.
Yeah, the practice. That was before Kompleks Creative. We were known as the practice, and W was doing some illustration for us.
Oh yeah.
That was way back in the day.
Yeah. So I did that, and then what happened is, September 11th hit, stock hit changed.
Yeah.
The company took a major hit. They got acquired, and then they got delisted from NASDAQ. They were getting delisted from NASDAQ.
Oh, they were done.
Oh, it was and see, when you watch people get laid off, here's how it works. You're at work, and all of a sudden, the first round goes through. They get rid of the people they don't like. Yeah. The people around the office that you can, that didn't really mesh with everybody.
Right.
And they walk into an office, and then they walk out the door, never to be seen again. Then the next round comes around, and it's the people that they can get by barely without.
Oh, man.
So now you see them walk into the office, and then they just walk right out the front door.
It sounds like Office Space.
Yo, it's real, dude. Because just to give you an example of how crazy it was around that time, they would have like a refrigerator full of like home groceries for you to eat at work. Like food. Not just like snacks and everything, food. So you could just sit and work. We had a program, and they took the whole office out to this nice restaurant. The whole office. They took everybody kayaking.
Wow.
Yeah, kayaking. And
Wait,
then,
y'all getting laid off. What?
So, but here's when you know your things are going bad. All of a sudden, the snacks ain't the same anymore. You know, no more kosher hot dogs. You know, the Coke machine ain't full no more.
Oh.
You know, people still looking there. The cold cuts are not there anymore, and you're like, yo, somebody's really slipping on the groceries.
Oh no, we broke.
And what ended up happening is there wasn't really a whole lot of work for me anymore.
Right.
So I would say, hey, I'm gonna go work from home. And that was my code word for I'm going to go to sleep.
Yeah.
So I'd go home, get into bed, keep my laptop open just in case somebody instant messages me.
Yeah.
And then I got an instant message that said, hey, you put your 30-day notice in, we need you to go ahead and fill these papers out. And I'm like, all right, cool. I would always be the second person to go into the office so that, you know, I just like getting there early.
Right.
But I got there that day and the office was completely packed. Everybody was moving around, papers were shuffling around, people copying and faxing things.
That was it.
And I'm like, okay, I'm seeing what's happening.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's still good because we just hired a woman on Monday. So I'm thinking, okay, we're good. And I wouldn't take my jacket off at work. I would always keep my jacket on because I didn't want them to know if I just got there or I'm about to leave. So I would just walk into work and just sit down and just start. I had all types of tricks. I had my favorite one was I would leave for lunch 10 minutes after my boss. Because if I left after her,
You got more time.
I have way more time. So I'd have hour-and-a-half lunches and everything. So I was a great employee.
You were a horrible employee.
That was awesome. So I get to my desk, I have my yellow jacket still on, I'm working on the computer, and they call everybody into the main room, and it's the whole office. And they explained to us that, you know, the night before, they got packages, the executives got packages. They thought it was everybody's insurance paperwork. They opened it up and realized it was everybody's pink slip.
Oh my God, they sent it. They sent it like everybody.
Through FedEx. You know, like, can you sign for this? Okay, yeah, I'll sign for this, and then everybody's fired. So
that's dark. It's hilarious on one level.
It's messed up, but it's hilarious because, you know, we're sitting in the office, and you know, the conference room. Some people are sitting in chairs, some people sitting on the ground with legs crossed, some people are just standing up. And he's like, well, at 5 o'clock p.m., we're shutting down every office in North America. And everybody's like, well, what does that mean?
That means you need another job.
He's like, at 5 p.m. today, the company is now going to be shutting down the offices all across the Northern Hemisphere. It's like, how does that relate to us? You know, like, dude, are you
You're in the Northern Hemisphere.
Are you in So, and you know, some people just got married, some people just bought cars and all that. And then I was like, all right, well, I guess that's a wrap, folks. I got up, walked to my desk, plugged in my hard drive, which was about like this big back then. Hard drives are like almost gasoline powered. It's so big, you know? I plugged it in, tried to download the whole server, unplugged it with, well, it was a 20 gig hard drive, you know?
No, your whole server is not 20
You know, it got as much as I could. Unplugged it, and then that was how I became a freelancer, and that was the last time I was an employee, technically, and that was in 2001.
Wow.
So for the past, you know, almost 2 decades, I've been working for myself, doing contract gigs, doing illustration, doing design work.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, so, you know, that's how I started.